Thank you so much for that escort. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel like I'm important. Wow. Man, organizing the soul of BCTGM. Organize, educate, persist, and resist. I wish I thought of that. That's an actually great saying, and it really is something that not only your union, but my union, and dare I say the entire labor movement itself, should be aspiring to. In my comments, I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but I got to also talk about Butch Hindley for a second. My goodness, I'm going to tell you what, that story, that history of Butch Hindley and his membership and his leadership in this great union is something for me to aspire to. So many times as leaders, we get to the point in our career where we think we've done all we can and we can just ride into the sunset. But give me one who runs through the finish line, That's what we need in order to stave off and fight and persist as a labor union movement. That's what we got to have. And everybody in this room, in your leadership position, because I believe everybody that's in this room is a leader of some standing, that in your career, as you get to the point where you think it's time to go or you're thinking about that retirement, that's great. You deserve the retirement that you earn, but always, always, always run through the finish line. You owe it not only to yourself, but you owe it to your existing membership, and you owe it to those members that are soon to be. You need to remember that. That's vitally important to this movement. Too many folks take for granted the positions that they have in organized labor. Not these folks, not you. That's my belief, because to me, this room looks like America to me. And those who would take from us our ability as working families to go to work, to get paid, to come home safely, and hopefully on Friday or Saturday night, maybe you take the family out for pizza or Chinese food. That's what we all want. We need as a movement, to make sure that those who want to separate us through fake narratives on immigration, on criminals, on breaking the law, on anything, want us to separate, want us to be separate. But remember this, brothers and sisters, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we stay together on what we have in common. I want the same things you want. Everybody in this room, in America, wants to be able to work, wants to be able to earn a living and support their family. Don't let those who are in so-called power tell you otherwise. Access to good health care, being able to pay your taxes and get the services that we all deserve. Don't let it happen. And it only happens when you organize, educate, persist, and resist. So enough of my wheedle there. I need to get into my comments here for a second. And I really, Dave, President Durkee, I really want to thank you for your kind words. Secretary Treasurer Bertelli, thank you and the BCTGM International Union for your invitation to think that I had something I could say of value to this great gathering. For over 130 years, your organization has not wavered in your mission to bring social and economic justice to workers across North America. And that is something to truly be proud of. And I must tell you that the invitation for me to speak here today is such an honor, particularly after reading President Durkee's comments, which are just so powerful. That question that he posed to you, this is a which side are you on moment. Are you with us? Are you ready to stand up for our freedoms? Is somebody ready to stand up for our freedoms for this great country? There's got to be somebody in this room that can do that. I know I am. I know President Durkee is. I know Secretary Treasurer is. I believe everybody in this room is ready to do that. I've been around. I have been around the labor movement. If you've been around the labor movement for any amount of time, you've probably heard of this word solidarity being thrown around. What does it look like? What does it really mean for us? What does solidarity look like? And solidarity is a very simple idea that we all in this room work together. It's that commitment that we all make to stand together, to build something better together, to even work when it's hard to work, even when we aren't getting anything in return. That's when solidarity matters the most. Here's a great example of solidarity in action. President Durkee mentioned it. The AFL-CIO has two programs, the Building Investment Trust and the Housing Investment Trust. For more than 30 years, these programs have created thousands of union construction jobs and provided over, listen to me now, 10 million hours of work for the women and men working in the construction trades across this country, including members of my union, the IUPAT. As a rank and file member, I earned a living working on some of those very jobs. And I got to tell you, the investment that this union makes, this union, the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers Union, the biggest investor in organized labor in those two trusts. I salute you. I was able to go on vacation with my family because of the Housing Investment Trust, because of the investments that your union has made. And you need to be proud of that. That's solidarity. And the solidarity goes both ways, of course. You heard about it. President Durkee talked about it. Mondelez, when they laid off hundreds of workers at their Nabisco plant in Chicago and tried to scare you into taking a 60% cut in wages and benefits in exchange for just the consideration of new technology in the plant. We had your back in a movement to hold the company accountable. You stood with us, and the IUPAT will always stand with you. Always. Too often today, our society celebrates greed as a marker for success. Many folks fail to see that blowing out someone else's candle doesn't make theirs shine any brighter. It just leaves them alone in the darkness. But we know different. Solidarity, our ability to truly commit to being there for other working people and their families, to make sacrifices even when it gets us nothing. That's what makes us great. We prioritize the people who get up and go to work every day. We know that when we all do better, we all succeed. We're the ones who fight for it. We're the ones who sacrifice for it, who do the work of building a movement that raises people up. Now, how are we going to keep building our movement? Building a strong middle class. Organizing. That's how we're going to do it. I want everyone in here right now to just take a minute and look around the room. Who do you see? Like I said, this room looks like America. I'm going to tell you what I see. I see a whole lot of organizers. You may not believe it, but being an organizer isn't just making calls to get people to show up to a meeting or a rally. It means doing what's been done, what you've seen on the videos today, what's real life. Organizers are builders. We build relationships, we build power, and we build hope for workers who would otherwise have no voice, and that's no small thing. We know that because there sure are a lot of people out there doing everything they can to stop us. Ain't that right? Who here has heard of the Janus case? Anybody heard of the Janus case? Yeah. That case is just the latest example in a long, long history of super rich bosses and the politicians that they have bought and paid for who want to keep working people poor, powerless, and afraid. They will not stop at anything to take away your power, our power. They do their best to turn us against each other. They do it by keeping our immigration system broken, exploiting immigrant workers to drive down wages. They do it by creating fear and animosity. It's the oldest trick in the book. Keep us angry, afraid, and at each other's throat, and we won't notice them robbing us all blind. So hint, right? We got 45 out there, and what does the news talk about? Whatever kind of an affair he had, whatever he's paying off or buying off something. That's stupid. That's not my moral compass. But I got to tell you, make sure you look behind the curtain, because that's where Janus came from. That's where right to work came from. That's where this whole separation of us comes from. So yeah, I'm not really proud that 45 is the president of this country, but he's the president. But you gotta know what's going on behind the scenes. What's that do-nothing Congress doing to fight that? And how do we do it? Where's our power? It's in the ballot box. Got to get out there and vote. Organize, educate, persist. Those words are real. And buying into those divisions will make us all weak. We don't have time for that. Do you think we have time for that? I mean, really, do we have time for that? Somebody answer me. No. We don't have time for that. Let me tell you this, nobody ever let us form a union. We have never won anything by waiting for the boss to give us permission to be a union, to build a labor movement, to demand fair wages and safe working conditions. We have a labor movement because generations of people just like us stood together and fought for it and organized for it. Every raise, every safety rule, every benefit, every advancement in achieving justice for working Americans were all fought for and won by people joining together in their unions. Building power for regular working people has never been easy, and it never will be. But that sure doesn't mean we don't just roll over and take it. When we have the people, we have the power. When we have the people, we have the power. Our solidarity keeps us going and fuels this movement. And I'm really proud to stand here today in solidarity with my brothers, AFSCME President Lee Saunders, AFGE President David Cox, and your own BTCGM President David Durkee. The IUPAT will never turn a blind eye on your struggles. We will face the fight on all fronts together. if you take one thing home with you today, I want you to think about how we live our commitment to solidarity. What does it look like at work, at home, in our neighborhoods? What simple acts of solidarity can each and every one of us do every single day? Brothers and sisters, united we stand. United we stand. And it's never meant so much as it does today. God bless you all. God bless bakery, confectionery, tobacco workers. God bless the IUPAT. And God bless the labor movement. Thank you.